So I want to quickly go ahead and talk about this near-death experience that I had with my aunt. The interesting part of this, and I'm calling it a near-death experience because I'm pretty sure for me it was very close. Like, I am a pretty strong swimmer, and I've swam in the ocean my whole life. I personally have not encountered an undertow or a riptide myself that I know of that caught my attention quite like this one. The thing that caught me off guard with this wasn't so much that I felt like it was pulling me out as much as it was pulling me down and keeping me in place. Like, it was causing me to feel like I was bobbing, uh, like I was, like my leg was tied to the bottom of the ocean, or tied to the bottom of whatever this dip in the ground was. There was a dip. And so my aunt and I were talking, and we're just kind of just floating around, and we weren't very deep in, actually, and we're a little ways down from where we were staying. I actually made a video of what was going on out there. You saw how pretty it was. And all of a sudden there was this place where there was no more floor, and she and I just so happened to drift into it. Well, we went to go swim out of it, but it kept kind of keeping us in place, not really pulling us out, at least not that I experienced, but it was actually keeping us in like a whirlpool area, or like a place where it felt like the current was going around or keeping us still, but it was also pulling me down. So even though usually I can float because I have enough fat to float, and I'm a strong swimmer, but all of a sudden the waves were like, because of the where it was keeping us, were really strong at that moment, because you know how they come in waves, they come big and then they go small. And all of a sudden I could only keep my face above water. I couldn't, no matter how hard I was pushing or pulling or even trying to go sideways, or I was trying to, my sister said, "Oh, you should next time just float," but I couldn't get my feet up off the ground. The group that I was with, I have a sister who was with me. I have several sisters, and she was close to where I was. She had to wait for the next wave in order to push and propel herself off the ground to come toward us, my aunt and I. And so this was a very strange experience. Like, I had a full-fledged panic attack while the waves were coming, and I was grabbing my breath as I was trying to keep my head above water. Even when I got out of that dip, I couldn't seem to catch my bearings enough, because I was starting to like lose my consciousness. Like, I was like unable to get enough oxygen in me to stop panicking and to kind of stop the cycle, because it kind of gets worse and worse. And I literally had to be carried out from a cousin of mine. She had to pull me out like a bag of potatoes out of the ocean. I've never had this experience before. I have swam in the ocean my whole life, at least once or twice a year. I am a strong swimmer. I've been swimming since I can remember. I don't know what that was, and I've looked it up. They're usually riptides, and undertows are something that pull you a certain direction, or you can pull out of by going, swimming this way or that way, or going with the current. I don't know what it was, but there was like this huge, almost like sinkhole sensation, and I don't know. It was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. I've had a few bad experiences, but that was really bad. The thing that got me about this, my aunt had to be rescued too by the people who were present, and I didn't look back. I should have looked back and made sure everybody got out. But people came in to rescue us, knowing what we were going through, and I mean, we could have pulled everybody in. I don't know how. God is good. God is good. But my aunt and I actually share a birthday. So I was born September 24th, 1982. She was born September 24th, and a year that's not the same year as me. Clearly, she's my aunt. And we almost had the same death day. I was talking about that. I was like, just as a joke, I was like, we could have had the same birthday on our tombstone and the same death day. That would have been weird. But the people thought that was funny. But it was a very strange experience. That's what happened to me at the beach. We still went back into the water because it's just a very just rare occurrence. There was also weird equipment in the water too. Like, there's this huge, I guess you could say, industrial size tube where they're using to kind of readjust the sand in the water, and it had this huge netting, or industrial netting, that kind of went along the side of the tube, and it actually looked like mountains. That's how big this tube was, and whatever was floating. I can't explain what this thing was, but they were trying to adjust the dunes, and so this was a tube they used to do that. And so there was all kinds of machinery and equipment that every so often would come by and pat down the ground, but it was in the water, and like maybe half a mile out you could see where the stuff was floating in the distance. So I don't know if that created a type of phenomenon that which we experience, but I've never had the energy sucked out of me quite like that, as quickly as that. Like it was like 0 to 60, I can't touch the ground, and now I'm having a panic attack. Like it was instant. Because I've never had the inability to swim out of something. I'm very strong with swimming, and I have a lot of fat, so I don't know why I didn't float. It's salt water. Anyhow, that was the story of Beyond the Undertow. I praise Jesus Christ, of course, and I'm glad both of us got out and nobody else got, too deep in whatever was happening there. That's it. But may God be with you. Seriously.